Oh man. Hey, magical girl, what's up? Tired. Got some people coming in. Hey, Monet, what's up? You here in Phoenix or you on the road? And can y'all hear me? Or do I need to get the headset? Hey, Chicago BBW, what's up? West Africa Laredo, what's up, baby? Okay. I'm in the new crib. These here, what's up? Cat Eyes, what's up? You caught me, Cat Eyes. Cat Eyes always sometimes missing. African Violet, what's going on? Y'all can see I'm tired. The 12-hour shifts are kicking my butt. I'm going to show y'all. So, right now things are a mess. I'm in the new crib, and I'm going to have a friend and her kids staying with me for, they can be up to probably 60 days. I don't even think it's going to be that. I don't know how long she's going to be here, and it's fine. She's relocating to Arizona, and kind of like when I came back, it's good to have somewhere to crash. Um, I don't know, because I don't know if she's going to stay 60. I told her whatever she needs is cool. Um, but she got a job out here as well, and so she's coming back from Vegas to Arizona. And when you trying to transfer back, it's hard. Look, as hard as one person, two people with one and kids. That's I can't even imagine, and a single mom. So I told her, I said, "Girl, we gonna make it work, like the Latinos, like the Africans, and we got some air mattresses, and we gonna work it out." Because I don't have any furniture. I have another storage unit, but I haven't brought that in yet. So I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I'm even going to bring that in um, until she finds her house here. Because the issue is I don't know how. I don't want to bring a bunch of stuff and they don't have room. Because this is a 1 bedroom, but the living room is big enough they can put down air mattresses and stuff. She got 2 kids in grade school, and then I think she's going to bring one of her adult kids, and the other two are staying out in Vegas. One, I think she's going to stay there, and then the other one is going to help get that. They're going to help get the house packed up. Yeah, you know, as we get older, you start seeing things. Well, you should start seeing things through some different glasses. And I, I've never had children in the sense I've had them, but I helped raise my brothers, and I've had some impacts on kids' lives. I can't imagine if you're a decent mom being a mother and then trying to relocate back here. She lived here before, but then she went to help her family in Vegas, and that was some drama. And then the family just ups and leaves her there. And she had relocated herself, her kids, and she really didn't want to go back to Vegas. But Vegas is not really a place, in my humble opinion, to raise children. For me, I wouldn't want to live in Vegas, and I'm a single person. I don't mind going in there, and I like food, so I want to go to the restaurants. And then I'm not a gambler, other than I like bingo. That's it. I'm old school. I'm old fashioned, y'all. But that's about it. Affordable prehab housing. Affordable prehab housing kids I talked about. Um, well, you can go like manufactured homes is going to be probably the cheapest. The other one is if you do your own container homes. Um, trying to think who else I mentioned. I know I mentioned container homes was one. The tiny houses was another one. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the arch cabin kits. So actually, if you do the arch cabins, you can do arch cabin kits. You can look them up online. Look up Dirt Patch Heaven, I think is her name. She did a interview with, it was a lady, and you get to see what the arch cabin. So do Dirt Patch Heaven, just like dirt, like the dirt in the ground, patch like a patch on the clothing, heaven like heaven. I think that's her name. And do arch cabins, and then you can Google and Facebook the arch cabin kits, and they actually will show you pictures of what they look like. So the best style, when I had mentioned it to Grumpy, he said, "Oh, you talking about Quonset huts? We stayed in those in the military." So they really took these guys. They were really doing it initially as hunting cabins, but people have since taken them and made them into homes, and they actually are pretty cute. What you can do with them. They've got people who've done all sorts of things. I've seen them more in Texas on their things, but they've built them all across the country. And they will come out, and I think the initial for the one of them was like 14,000. I don't know if that includes them coming up and setting it up for you. It's going to be a shell on the inside, so you're going to have to decide how you're going to design it. But it will come, the one that I like, which is like this, I think it's the second biggest one and the biggest one, about 1,000 or so square feet, probably more than that because you include a loft. Now you don't have to use that loft as your bedroom. I would do my bedroom downstairs, and like some of those showed bedrooms downstairs, but they also had bedrooms upstairs, which I think is good for a guest. Because where I'm at in my age, that's all it would be. I'd probably see if I get somebody to do plumbing upstairs and downstairs. I'd put a shower toilet and a sink upstairs. And you actually, if you got the big one, you probably could turn it into two little bedrooms with a walkway. Or you could use it as one big bedroom. But you'll see how they did it. But it's Arch Cabin Kits and Dirt Patch Heaven. I think she's here in Arizona. She did she goes around to different type of housing because I think her and her family were originally investigating tiny homes. They are they're homesteaders, I think. I think she's a homesteader. And when I was out with the fracture, I used to watch a lot of her stuff. Um, but yeah, so that's what it is. And if you go on there, she interviewed this lady, and I don't forgot where they were. I think they were in Florida, and they were older at retiring time, and at that point you start analyzing like I am now how to set up for retirement. What are you going to do in your retirement years? Um, my buddy Joe, he just luckily that and not as bad as sister passed, but one of his sisters married a guy who was really good with money. So when the husband died, he left it to the wife, and now when the wife died, they left it to his family. So Joe's set for the rest of his life. He's not going to have to worry about retirement once everything gets through probate. Whereas me, I don't know that that's going to happen. So I'm rebuilding and trying to set up for retirement because I'm only, God willing, 13 years away if this planet is here. We're going to get into that too. But yeah, that's what it was called. Let me see if anybody else has any questions. It's called an Arch Cabin Kit. Let me see. Hey, Thieves, what's up? Let me just make sure I missed no questions. And D, all right, so somebody's asked where I've been. So I came out the truck in August, and I just kind of give an update. I'd asked for home time. I was working for a company called SRT out of Texarkana, Texas. Did not care for him. The driver manager I had, he was a very nice guy. I liked him. But they had me doing these chicken runs in Texarkana, just running in a circle. I wasn't making much money with them, and I was like, mm-mm. And they had asked me to be a trainer. Well, if you're a trainer, you should be making money. They put that crazy dude on the truck with me who, y'all, it fell over. I got a little stand and it fell over. Hold on. Let's see if we can get it to stay. They put the crazy dude on the truck with me. Hold on, let me see how I can get this thing to stay up. Y'all give me a second here, trying to see if we get this. Okay. The felon dude on the truck with me. And I got him off the truck, but then after that, they kept giving me different students, and it was amazing. I hate to say it, I was really kind of happy about working with more of us, but we can be quite special. I had the one girl who I'm going to curve the fact that I don't like smokers till you'll get you a vape. You can't vape on the truck, but you can vape off the truck. I don't want to smell no cigarette smoke. Then when I give you the rules of the truck and it comes down to the cell phone, oh, I don't think I can do that. Ninja, are you for real? I'm telling you, you have an hour before your bedtime to handle stuff with your family on the phone, and I expect you to sleep for 9 hours so that you're capable of driving and don't drive us in a ditch tired. I can't. But I'm working now. I'm in the office still in trucking. And right, like Ninja next. Crazy as hell. I'm not trying to help your crazy behind. And you talking about you want a job. No, you don't want a job. Playing. Anyway, we'll get to that later. But we're going to talk about that because we're going to get into some stuff about dysfunction. Y'all, we might be going to church a little bit today. Y'all don't want to hear about God, want to hear about Christianity. Y'all might want to get off of here. I might not want to watch it when it comes out to it. Give us a like, thumbs up, share this out, hopefully. And we'll give you some updates, but it's going to be a little bit of update on where I'm at, what God is doing, what's going on in my life. But I came off for those that know, I came off the truck in August. I didn't know if I was coming back. I told my play sister when I stayed at, when I fractured my ankle, I had told her that I was most likely coming back and I might be looking to go back corporate. Initially, I was trying to get on where her daughter was, which was a financial company. I interviewed for the job, but with corporate jobs, if they see a lot of up and down, they're thinking you're not stable. And the problem was in trucking, I had moved a lot. That's trucking, and trucking is not a big deal to an extent. But in corporate America, they look at you as unstable. Even though I had other jobs around 3, 4, 5 years, that didn't matter. The older stuff, they're looking at the recent stuff. So for whatever reason, I think that was a focus of it, and I didn't get the job. So Nikki, and I don't know what's going on with Nikki. I haven't seen her. I heard from her. We talked, and I haven't heard from her since. I hope she's okay. I've been sending her stuff, but I haven't heard. I'll check on her later. Nikki had been sending me links because she had given up her authority. She had turned her truck back in. She got rid of her reefer unit, and she was coming back local. We're still supposed to do an interview with Nikki. I don't know because right now that baby has been working like 7 days a week. So I don't know what's going on. And right now, like I said, I haven't heard from her. So I don't know if she's got family stuff going on. I tend to leave people alone. If all of a sudden you just fall off, I'll still text you and stuff. And then it's up to you to let me know what's going on. Because I figure, well, maybe if I offended you, you'll let me know. I don't know. Our kind of last conversation was good. But all of a sudden I didn't hear from her. So I'm hoping she's okay. But this is a time of year where you got a lot of family coming in. And when she focuses on family, hey, Regina. When she focuses on family, I know that she sometimes might not be as prevalent because sometimes family is not the best and she's trying to keep herself calm. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But I got off the truck in August and it was, and like I said, we're going to get to some God stuff here in a minute. All I can tell you is the last load I had, I was supposed to be taking that not too far from where our terminal was. I picked it up right up the street from where our terminal was. I needed fuel. And so something said, go to the terminal. So I went to the terminal. When I got to the terminal, something in my gut said, don't leave. I parked the truck because they were supposed to be getting me home time, but they had loads on me just going in that chicken circle. And I immediately, my driver manager was not in the office, so all these other people were not handling his fleet. I had contacted his boss. Nobody had me anything going home to Arizona. At this point, I made some phone calls. I got myself a bus ticket because everything in me said, you need to get home to Arizona. The day that they decided, I guess they weren't responding to me getting home, I started packing up what I could on the truck. Got my ticket to get home. And when I was getting ready, all of a sudden my right eye started bothering me. It's like it was itchy and it was just weird. Something was going on weird. But everything in my gut was saying, get home. Not go to Lubbock, go home to Arizona. So I got my ticket here. Joe picked me up. And when he picked me up, he says, everything okay? We went and ate. We're at Applebee's. And he said, are you okay? And he had already started noticing something. I didn't know. I just know I was extremely tired. And I knew my eye was driving me crazy. I dropped the whole way on the bus home. Got to Vivian's house. Got into the room that they had for me. Get in the bed, went to sleep. What does it say? Hold on. Somebody said something. Hold on. Anybody else having buffering problems? Bibliophile, you might have to restart. I don't think everybody else said they could hear me earlier. So my signal seems good. Okay, yeah, Bibliophile, reboot your phone, restart your phone or your computer. I'll be on here for a minute. We're going to be talking for a minute. So I got back here, and all of a sudden, some of you guys guessed what happened when I told y'all it was almost like I had a stroke. Um, I got up, went to the bathroom at Vivian's, washed my hands, walked out, said hello to them. I went back to bed. I was extremely exhausted. I got back up about an hour or two later, went to the bathroom, and when I looked in the mirror, my whole right side of my face was drooped. I was thinking I was having a stroke, and I got pictures of it. But I was thinking I was having a stroke. I immediately started making phone calls. Joe was the first person like, bro, I need you to take me to emergency. He said, Shannon, I'm stopping at the house. I'll be on my way. It's funny when you think something bad, and I always thought this was stupid that people did this. Be careful when you judging other folks, because I did the same thing. First thing I thought was, I gotta brush my teeth. I want my breath to be bad if I'm dying. If I'm having a stroke. So I'm brushing my teeth, washing my face, getting decent so you ain't funky and stuff, and getting dressed. And here I'm thinking I'm having a stroke. I made sure I took my blood pressure medicine. I tried to keep myself as calm as possible. Got my contact information out to the people I needed it in case of an emergency. Joe called. He says, "Do you need me to call 911?" I said, "No." I said, "Do I sound like I'm, can I?" Because if I'm mumbling, if I'm not talking right, that's where the problem is. That means things are happening very rapidly. And so that wasn't what was going on. What happened once I got to the hospital, it looks almost like a stroke in your face. I had never experienced this before. And it's funny because I believe that things happen in order for God to wake you up. And maybe he allows one thing to happen in order to wake you up about other stuff. And so I'm sitting up here thinking, I gotta get this weight off. I'm having a stroke. When I got to the emergency room, the lady, she's like, "Well, what you here for?" And I said, "Look up." And all of a sudden, it was like, boom. Next thing I know, I was talking to the nurse. They get me in the back. They're doing the blood pressure. And the lady looked at me because I guess my blood pressure was not high enough in what they call a stroke stage. I wasn't there, and I was talking. Speech was fine. Just the right side of my face wasn't working. And so what they said was Bell's palsy. I had heard of Bell's palsy, yes. I had heard of it. I'd never experienced it. They do not know the causes of it. They do know that certain things such as diabetes, I'm a diabetic, different types of viruses can cause it. Shingles, they mentioned a whole bunch of chicken pox, all that stuff in the family of viruses can cause. They know that it follows it. One of my friends that's on here, and Christian sister of mine, she is an RN, and she contacted me immediately, and she said, I've been an RN for years. She said the biggest cause or affiliation to Bell's palsy that she had seen was stress. She says you need to relax and de-stress. And there was a lot of stressful stuff going on. I'm coming from the truck, trying to get home to Arizona. But I also am a firm believer that things happen for a reason. And I think what God wanted to do was alert me, because I've been praying about getting the weight off. You need to really be serious about this. Now, with that being said, somebody hit me up in the comments and said, every time I see you, you eating. I love food. I do. I love good food. But I also want to say it is serious for me, but I was in someone else's home. While I am grateful to the people I stay with, they're not cooks in the sense like I'm a cook, like my mother's a cook, like my aunt's a cook. So when you are getting ready to start looking at how you do your food, prepare your food, you need to really be in an environment where you can control that. You need to have your own kitchen, your own utensils, your own stuff. And there's certain things they did not have. It was they're bare bone cooks. That's what I'm gonna say. They do what meets getting full. They're not cooks like I am. They cook what they want. Vicky's been working on hers because she's a vegetarian, so she uses recipes a lot. But even still, they're not that person that's going to go in there and really. You got them people that go in the kitchen and they might even have a stool if they're going to sit there. And them old sisters that get in that kitchen and they be in there sweating, and you know that whatever's gonna come out that kitchen is gonna be a yummy masterpiece. It may not be pretty, but it's gonna be pretty going down your stomach and in your mouth. I'm just gonna say it. So, and even still, you put it on the table, and it just, for black folks, we put some soul food in some tin pans, and the smells, and and you're looking at it, and you say, that's good. You know it's good. These are not that kind of cooks. I love them, but they're not cooks like that. So the utensils and things that I would have, even on my normal cooking, that was not there in that home. And so trying to do that wasn't going to work. And then also there's three adults in that house, and then I was the fourth one. Everybody's in that kitchen, and they're in that kitchen a lot. And so for me, because I was a guest, I'm like out of sight, out of mind. I like to try to stay out the way. So if I had the money, I go eat while I was out. And then when I started working doing that, so now I've got my own place. Now I've got to decide, because like I said, I'm gonna have friends staying here with me for a little bit. I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna go get my stuff from my big storage unit, because that does have all my cooking stuff. It has my pots, my pans, my blenders. It has everything. So I do know that I'm going to be working on some things, and as soon as my insurance kicks in, I think it's December 1st, we're getting ready to start the route of having the discussions with the bypass doctor, the gastric doctor, and what I have to go. I do know that process, my understanding, before the surgery would take place, can be anywhere up to 6 months, because you have to go and make sure you're healthy in other areas for the surgery. So I've got to do that, and I'm due for a colonoscopy big time. So there's a lot going on. But that's kind of, if you want a nutshell, what happened. I ended up applying for, Nikki sent me some links. I thought it was for one thing. I thought I was going to end up doing some local driving. Ended up clicking a link that took me to one of the major trucking companies. And I ended up getting a job with them, and kind of like a after hours night dispatch manager. Somebody said something about my insurance kicking in. Oh, yeah, December 1st. Okay, yeah, it should be. They haven't deducted it from, but I knew the beginning of December was when I was supposed to have it. So good, because actually I got some refills I got to do. Anyway, y'all can see I'm gaining some weight even staying, because I wasn't eating the best, and I've eaten like quick stuff. And like, I'm hungry this morning. I have to take my meds. I took my meds last night. I need to take my meds this morning. And I need to eat something this morning. So, quick section about something that has been hitting me and playing in mind. So right now, the office that I work in, because I am working in a trucking company, major trucking company, and they do a lot of starters. So it's a lot. No offense, we're gonna have a talk, y'all, because I be talking to people, and now I'm doing this when I'm on the phone with drivers. Like, did you really just ask me this crazy behind question? I get drivers that ask me, I'm here at this place, where can I find a truck stop? I'm sitting my behind in Phoenix, Arizona in office. You're in Houston, Texas. And you calling your dispatch people to help you find a truck stop? Don't understand how to do their logs. Now, to me, it's a twofold problem, and I'm going to get in that later. That's training and the company. There's twofold. But we're going to get in there. I'm going to do that whole different video. But in my office that I'm in, some of the guys that are there, I'm one of very few women. And well, my group has more women than the other group. So the way we were in my office, we're all after hours. For us, we'd come in after all the dispatch managers meet. So we're dealing the dispatch manager job. The company I'm with, they got rid of all their customer service, so we're a blend of that. We will also be having some planning capability here, I think, in the near future, from what I understand. It's insanity. Yeah, I got the book on the floor. Let me show y'all my mess right now. I'm trying to get ready for my guests. Hold on. That all came out of, well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that was in my truck and storage unit, and y'all can see I just emptied right there. I'm throwing away a duffel bag, because at the bottom of the duffel bag I had those. So I threw away the bag. A couple of them busted, so I threw the bag out. But there you can see my road atlas. I have some seed books. But down there, and just condiments. I got my buckets, this water. These bags right here, now that's trash, the black bag. Um, and then those boxes I got to go through, bins. I got some bins here. Now, these two bins were from my old apartment, but I didn't have room, so I stored them at Vivian's, and then we put them in the storage unit. So all this came from my little trucking storage unit. And I'm going to get that all. It'll be gone. It's not, I mean, it looks a hot mess right now, but it's going to be gone. But I've been going through everything today, and whatever I don't want is going in the trash. I hate moving. I hate moving, y'all have no idea. Anyway, I want to get into the dysfunction thing. And the reason I want to get into it, hold on. It's just been something that's been on my mind. Trying to get this thing, y'all. Hold on. Trying to get this phone set up. Hold on. It might be me because I just did the phone. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. I moved the phone. Hold on. See if we can get it back. All right. Hold on. Hopefully it don't slide. Y'all okay? Okay. Hopefully it doesn't slide. So I had been talking with a friend of mine, actually a couple people, and it's something that God is showing me. I work in an office right now, and a lot of the people that are in there, speaking of weight, are severely obese, mainly the guys. I mean, I'm the fattest girl, but we got guys in there that are easily between the 400 and 500 pound mark. Some of them old school truckers. And I'm watching them walk with canes. One of them, he was a sweet guy, and he did the gastric bypass. And he says, yeah, Miss Shannon, I've gained it all back. And said, that's because I basically says I didn't wrap my brain around what his issue was, which most of us who are obese is a bigger issue than just the food. It's always, any dysfunction, there's a bigger issue than just what you think, the immediate issue. It's something more behind the scenes, okay? So he's gained a lot of his weight back. He said when he first had the bypass, he lost like 100, and I think that man said 180 pounds. And I could look at him and see, when people have the weight loss surgery, some people I can look at and see they had the weight loss surgery because of how rapidly the weight comes off. You can kind of see, especially if you're a fat person, you can kind of see, like fat people will notice people's weight loss more than skinny people. Skinny people, because they're skinny, they don't understand. They're like, oh, I'm 10 pounds overweight. They don't understand. But if you've been an obese person, stuff's coming in. If you've been an obese person, you do then understand weight loss. Am I still buffering, guys, by the way? Am I still buffering? Anybody else having buffering issues, by the way? Okay, good. So you do then understand, you can look at people and see the weight loss. In looking at that and some other things that has taken place between staying with friends, dealing with associates, listening to really close friends of mine and family issues, talking to people that are close to me who are friends. I've got some associates of mine who've been dealing with depression. Some friends of mine dealing with depression. Friends of mine dealing with children issues. Talking to Grumpy. We will mention Grumpy. Even dealing with Grumpy, you guys, you can go back and see my videos, but even dealing with him recently, he told me he lost a whole day. He said, I don't know what happened to Sunday. They called me to pick up my offering, and they called me to bring me a plate. And Sister so-and-so said she called, and I didn't answer the phone. And I asked her what day it was, and she said it was Monday. I don't know what happened to Sunday. So let me talk about this. And anytime you point fingers at other people, you got 3 fingers coming back at you, and usually that thumbs, okay? So you always can use yourself, which I will. But I'm also going to talk about, in a generic form, relationships and people I know, okay? So I have a few friends that are dealing with depression issues. I have a few friends that I know who are borderline suicidal. And they have had issues in the past, a couple of friends of mine. And I'm going to put this as best way I can. What God showed me is that a lot of us, well, most of the world, we live in our dysfunction. So we function in our dysfunction. What does that mean? So biblical, okay? And I got to go biblical. There was a movie out a long time ago. I don't know if you guys ever watched it, called The Usual Suspects. In The Usual Suspects, Kevin Spacey, he is one of my favorite actors, even though unfortunately he's a perv. Kevin Spacey plays, the guy who's crippled and walking, if you've seen the movie. And in the movie, he's telling these guys about the devil. And he says the biggest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world think he didn't exist. Facts. Okay? Facts. 100% truth. One of the biggest things that happens in the world we live in is that we don't think the spiritual world, in the sense of the negative part of the spiritual world, exists. Okay? And so a lot of times we think demonic forces, Satan, the devil, red horns, it's a joke. No big deal. He doesn't exist. Some people don't believe in God. God, the world came together and it just poof, it was an explosion and whoop, we were here and we came from some primordial ooze. That may be your belief system, not mine, so understand, this video might not be for you. I'm going to take it a Christian route. On a biblical basis, God tells us in the very beginning of the Bible, there's an enemy. We call him Satan, fallen angel, former name Lucifer, was an angel, fell from heaven, all that other stuff. Tempted man, man fell to the temptation, hence, here we are. And we began at that point to live in our dysfunction. And we began to function in it. We began to do stuff and think it was normal. Right now, we're living in probably one of the most dysfunctional times in society. I sit right now I don't have a car. I got to buy a car, so I'm on the bus. We were renting a car just to get back and forth from my play sister's house. But now that I'm closer, I ride the bus and the light rail in. And I'm very analytical, as I already told you guys. So I'm watching people. And I see Arizona right now, and even in California when I was driving through there, the homeless population is on stealth right now. It's something I have not seen in a long time. The mental health issues with human beings, or maybe we even sometimes might call them spiritual stuff going on that people don't realize that are impacting them to make them kind of cuckoo or very cuckoo. That is something I have never seen at the level of what I've seen. Addictions and alcoholism and all the stuff that I'm seeing right now is something on a level at 51 years old I'm seeing, and it seems like it's magnified over time. So many people, including myself, we function in the dysfunction of this life. And that has been the plan all along for the downfall of man. So when I say this, let me kind of give you an example. So I have the cousins I told you about, my cousins here in Arizona. I have family here in Arizona. And sweet people that they may be, these folks, they're hoarders. Although my house probably doesn't look all that much, but this is not hoarder. But they're hoarders. Regina been to my crib before, so she knows it's not bad. This is not my normal right now, but I just got in here. They're hoarders. So when you walk into the house, you have a path to the couch. You have a path to the bathroom. You have a path to the kitchen. There's pathways. Everything else is damn near up the wall of just junk, okay? On top of that, they have roaches. And I mean roaches. The roaches are part of the family. Matter of fact, they call the roaches the cousins, okay? When I got off the truck one time, I had to crash there. And I was in between going from one company to another company, and it was a place to stay. I stayed with this one, and I didn't realize she was going to be on her way to being her mama, because I love my aunt, but she's very much like her mama. And I slept on one of the couches. They call me Doll, D-O-L-L. They call me by my middle name. Doll, you can do da-da-da-da-da-da. You're here. You can help us with, I'm getting DirecTV. They're going to have DirecTV or Cox. One of them coming in to the house to set up her TV in her room because she's on disability. We won't even go to that right now. Here's what I'm talking about. And when you know you're in dysfunction, you know what you're doing is not normal, but you continue in it because it's convenient and you don't want to change because it's work to change. It's work to admit that you're in dysfunction, okay? And it's work to step out of it. The Bible talks about a renewing of the mind. We're going to get to that in a minute. When the people came in to do her television, this is what she said to them. Oh, forgive the house. I've been sick. You have to understand, even when she's working, that is how her house looked. Even when she wasn't sick, this is how her house looks. That statement in and of itself tells me you know that the way that you're living is not normal and not right. So you justify to any outsider who comes in the conditions of your home or the conditions of your dysfunction so you can keep in it and not change even though you know it's not right. Another example. I was at a house that I go to sometimes to visit from friends, and you can wash your hands or whatever, but they don't have hand towels. But when certain people come to their home, all of a sudden they'll lay out towels or they'll put paper towel out because they then realize you know that not having something to dry your hands on isn't normal. It's functioning in that dysfunction. Joe told me a story, and I'm going to use this because this is a very good story. He's renting homes, and because he took over his sister's real estate, and he's inherited it. And they had gutted a house, they had redid the house, and they had tenants put in it, and the tenants contacted him, and we've got mold, and we've got roaches, and da 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 da, and there's water in the wall, and the wall is soft. And he's like, wait. He says, we just went in there and redid this whole house. We did plumbing, electrical, we did the walls. All that's been done. What are you talking about? There's water in the house. What are you talking about mold? There was no mold when you got in the house. There were no roaches because the house was gutted. It was redone. Everything's been done since I took over this house. I brought everything up to par. No, we've got roaches. He goes, okay, I'm going to have the exterminator come out. I'll have my plumber come out. So he has them go out there. And the plumber says, he calls Joe, he said, there's no issue with the plumbing. He says, but I think I know what the problem is. I said, what's the problem? When these people were taking a shower, they had the shower curtain on the outside of the tub. That is not normal. That's dysfunction. Okay? So the water from the shower is going all on the floor and soaking into the walls. It was so bad that the wall was soft, like she said, but they caused it, that he had to hire a company to come out. They had to cut out the sheetrock, go in with the fans, and blow it out. You're functioning in dysfunction. Now, I'm just using standard stuff. We're not even getting into the deep stuff. We're getting ready to get into the deep stuff. That's just surface level. I'm going to use myself. I know that my issues are deeper because of my childhood. Somebody said to me one time, and it was a very good friend, you'll know who this is, Regina. Deanne said, and it was in the classroom, and it was wisdom. And I believe God was talking to her. She says, you're overweight because it's a defense mechanism. What? You're overweight because it's a defense mechanism. I looked at him thinking, it is. She's 100% correct. It is. There's several reasons for it, but all of it is dysfunctional. Obesity can come from certain things psychological. I find solace, relaxation in food. So do my brothers. All of us find comfort in food. Even my mother did. All of us were severely obese that were under her household. My mother was a very jealous, bitter, angry, abusive woman. But where there was comfort was always in food. For me, between the um, sexual molestation, incest stuff, and the abuse from my biological mother, food is our comfort. My brothers are both the same way. Now, my one brother has lost his weight. He's become very disciplined with food. Um, Anthony has always been more of a logical type thinker. He's a very quiet and soft-spoken man. But he analyzed his situation and said, I want to live to see my son possibly go to college, and I'm not going to live that long with this weight on me. Is he still operating in dysfunction? Probably in areas of his life he doesn't know, and I'm not there to see what they are. But we all operate in some sort of dysfunction because it's the nature of what we were born into. It's the nature of from the very beginning of the Bible. Adam and Eve operated in dysfunction, which translated down to their children. We call it a generational curse where it just keeps translating down the lines. So if you have family members who are alcoholics, abusive, whatever, it's going to translate somewhere down the line unless you take a biblical stance on it. And that's a whole nother conversation I can't get into today. Monty, he lives in dysfunction. He knows what he is. He knows what he knows his life, areas of his life is wrong. He's there, yeah, no. But what happens is some of us don't have that measure to want to change. Paul calls it the renewing of the mind. You have to want to renew your mind. You can get deliverance in a certain area. You can get free. Like Monty can't go and sleep around and screw 5 million women anymore. But in his mind, he isn't free from that. In his mind, he's sitting there playing screwing women in his head. And in his mind, he's mad because he can't live in his dysfunction. Because that was his area of comfort, even as jacked up as it was. And now that he's been freed from it with prostate cancer and now it don't work no more, he can't move beyond it. But some of us really choose to live in it. We don't either, I don't know if we know, because I've been around people that I'm sitting going, do you realize this dysfunction you're in? A lot of the people that I know who have depression and some of my friends who are suicidal, they're not even living in their own, they're living in their own dysfunction, but they're more so living in somebody else's dysfunction. And that's another thing. So you can have friends, family, spouses, where you're in women do it a lot. This is a good example. Women do it a lot in relationships. So you'll marry this butthole dude, okay? He's kicking your butt, he's whooping your behind, and he leaves, y'all fight, he comes back. You know that the relationship's not right. You know that you're not supposed to be beat up. You know that this is not normal. But you become used to the dysfunction of the relationship. And you stay in it. You stay in it at a detriment. We had a situation here in Arizona, and I forgot who, I knew some people that knew this family. Young black girl was married to this dude. He's abusive. They had 2 or 3 kids. And she stayed in it too long. He ended up killing him and her, all the whole entire family, even the kids. Drove them into Tempe Town Lake in the car and killed the whole family. Black. Sometimes you living in other people's dysfunction. If this ninja is kicking your behind, he's treating you like hell, something ain't right, you living in a dysfunction. If you with some dude who's an alcoholic, and most likely you probably have alcohol issues too, but you staying in the dysfunction, there's a problem. There's just a problem. And I see people who live, that's one of the reasons why Monty, he wants me to be out there and feel sorry for him. I don't anymore. Because as humans, we can choose different. Now, unfortunately, not everybody's given that measure and they're going to mentally stay where they're at because their dysfunction is comfortable to them. It's comfortable to live in absolute insanity. And I've seen people who live in homes or in families and they are happy in dysfunction. And maybe happy is a strong word. They've become comfortable in the dysfunction. And this dysfunction becomes their function. It becomes their normal. And you sitting up here going, this is some crazy as hell stuff. I got a gentleman in my office right now, and I guess he letting everybody know he ain't had sex in forever. I don't need to know that. He did something. We were at work, and he did it as a joke. He didn't know I'm a minister, but I've kind of let that leak now because I want him to be very clear. There's certain and I've also even told him my age. I'm 51. You're the baby. He's a veteran, and I think he said he served in the wars, and something happened. And it might be part of his PTSD that he's the way he is. I don't think he's a bad guy. He's irritating as hell, though. And so he went by one of the guys' desks on the breakdown team the other day, and man, I got something for you, I got something for you. And he thought it was a joke. He thinks it's funny. It's sick. And he comes up to him, and I didn't know what he was showing him because the guy's on the other side of the wall. And he comes around to me on the other side. I got something, Shannon, I love you, I got something for you. He brings a cup with some cream, some liquid cream. So he's trying to make it seem like this is semen and thinking it's a joke. And I told him, I said, I don't like, and I knew it was coffee creamer. I said, I'm good on the liquid coffee creamer. I've got some dry creamer. I'll just use that. I'm good. Oh, you like it dry. Let me explain something to you. I'm 51 years old. A, I'm in an office environment. And B, I don't joke like that. I don't find it funny. I don't find it humorous, nor am I going to get in that conversation in a corporate environment. I know that there's some issues with the young man. I don't think he's a bad person, but I know there's issues. There's something going on because he likes to, I can look in his eyes and see there's some problems. But it almost like he likes to be irritating in order to get attention. That's dysfunction. As human beings, often all of us are functioning in crazy dysfunction in our lives, whatever it may be. So today, because something I want to talk about today, because I have people that are friends of mine that I care about, and I've seen them, and they don't understand, several of them, the depression that they're walking into. You can tell depression on a lot of levels. It could be staying in dark places. It could be sleeping all the time. That's why I know Monty is depressed, because all he does is sleep. He's depressed. He's angry because all he does is sleep. He just slept an entire day away. And, what happened? I said, you slept a day away. No, you slept a day away, bro. I already know what you did. It's not. Are you shocked? Why are you shocked? That's all you've been doing is sleeping your way to a casket, and now you're sleeping whole days away and you're shocked. You're choosing to live in the dysfunction. Dysfunctioning in this is your normal. Right now in our society, if you guys look out your front door, there's a lot of crazy as hell stuff. There's stuff I'm seeing that is insanity. I'm seeing stuff that I had no words for. I'm seeing stuff in families. I'm seeing stuff in people, jealousy. But then God took me back, and all of this is stuff from the very beginning. As soon as we hit the fall, everything in this world became dysfunctional. And we began to function in dysfunction. And all it's done is just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Now, as Christians, once we have the Holy Spirit come on board, we should have some discernment in our own lives, as well as what's going on around us. What is, and I use the word normal. I'm gonna have to use normal loosely, because really, since the fall of man, there has not been normal. What our normal is, the Bible calls it a plumb line, which is a rule of measure. God says he has his own plumb line, so who's going to have the best plumb line? His line is going to be the main line, because it's going to be a true line. Man's plumb line, which is a rule of measurement, plumb lines were used for measuring for buildings. Man's plumb line is going to be off. It's never going to be truly normal, because we're already abnormal because of our fall. That's why we have become worse and worse and worse in the sin category and everything else. And the goal of the enemy, remember the enemy I mentioned in the background, has been to have us be dysfunctional. Because if we're dysfunctional, it gets us to where we don't live our best life. And we stay in really some messed up stuff. And behind the scenes, we may not be as happy as we're supposed to be. We may not be as satisfied as we're supposed to be because we're living in dysfunction. And sometimes we're living in other people's. We have our own dysfunction, and on top of that, we're living in somebody else's dysfunction. Therefore, you're not happy. Therefore, you're not where you're supposed to be. Grumpy told me a story. I'm going to share this with you. And I was actually some wisdom from his crazy behind. And we were talking about some depression that I knew that a couple of people I close to, they had. And he's telling me the story about him. I think it's when he came home from the military. And he was staying in the house with the family home with his dad and mom. And he says, it was time for me to go. He says, but I don't know if he felt guilty about leaving because his stepmom really liked having him there. And then I also think his dad liked having him there. But he would come to the house, and he said his father came in his room. He said, man, I want to talk to you for a minute. And he walked in there. He says, you ready to go, ain't you? And he said, yeah. He called him Chief. Yeah, Chief, I'm ready to go. He's like, well, I know so-and-so's renting a house out in such and such. I don't know if it's Lubbock or wherever. Let me talk to her and see if we can get you that house. That's a good deal, and that's something that probably you can afford on your own. So you can go, because it's, you're grown. You can go. Sometimes, let's see how I can put this. Sometimes you have to move out of dysfunction in order to try to get as close to your own normal as you can. If you are a female or male and you are in a relationship that is abusive, sometimes it don't even have to be abusive. Sometimes the person you could be with could be mentally challenged. They could be crazy. And you trying to live in crazy, it is going to impact you. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be, all of a sudden, you're going to be adopting behaviors that aren't your own because you're living functionally in a house with somebody that's dysfunctional, and you're going to start functioning in their abnormal. It's what's going to happen. And it's also very spiritual. I can't even by any means say it's not. So I'm going to back up a little bit. And I'm trying to give examples. I don't want to give people stories because some people may watch me, so I don't want to give too much. Let's say you have a child and your child has behavioral issues. Okay? This is another associate of mine. Your child has behavioral issues, and you're stepping in for an adult child, managing everything they got going on, for whatever the reasons are. Okay? Unless that child is, and we used to use the word, and God forgive me, retarded. I don't like using that word, but unless they have some sort of true learning disability where they are not able to function. But if they can function, they know what the hell they're doing, regardless of maybe, some people have disabilities, but they still know what the hell they're doing. But you're sitting there, and I have several friends doing this. You're sitting there doing everything for grown folk who need to learn how to function on their own. That's a problem. That's a problem. You buying their groceries. You doing their budget. What's my other friend he's doing right now? You basically, you haven't weaned them off your titty. I'm sorry, you still treat them like they're a baby. And that could be male or female, because I see it in both. The goal of rearing kids is to rear them to be functional in the world. Granted, we have a lot of dysfunction in families. But there's a point where in Africa, they call it breaking the pot. What that means, the child has gotten to an age, you break the pot, and they got to go. Because now they have to learn how to deal with the world. A friend of mine, her mother used to say, I'm not raising you for myself. I'm raising you for this world. This is truth. If you sitting up here, you got kids up in here, and you raising them for yourself, they'll never be functional in this world, and you're not always going to be around to do everything. So you have to get them to where they know how to function on their own. If you're in relationships with people who are abusing you or doing stuff crazy and you decide you're going to stay in that, please wake the hell up. And that's what this is really about today. We got to wake up. All of us have to wake up in some form or fashion, whether it's family, whether it's relationships, and you sitting up in this dysfunctional mess that's going on, stop. That's why I'm not in Lubbock with Grumpy right now, sitting up there in his dysfunction. This dude is now losing whole days. Why? Because you have chosen to live in your craziness. I can't live in that with you. I'm not going to live in that with you. I had someone offer me, they needed somebody to help caretake for them. And not in the sense that they needed changing diapers or anything, but they're older, they may need somebody to ride. I couldn't live in that because I knew aspects of it that weren't going to be mentally healthy for me. And I had to make choices, and thank God he kind of gave me some warnings, that while this person is a very sweet person, I know aspects of them, they have a controlling aspect of them, have a manipulative aspect of them, that's dysfunctional. I'm not going to live in that dysfunction. Whether that be friend, whether that be family, you can't. I had a young man at the job, he's living at home with mama, and he's lonely. I could tell. He talks a lot. Oh, I'm trying to do my job, and he wants to have a conversation, and he's gossipy. I call him, in my own way, he's a female girl. He talks too damn much. Nice guy. He just talks too doggone much. And he's living at home with his mama. Former military. He's like, yeah, Shannon, they told me, I have friends of mine telling me that I need to go get my own place. Yeah. Bro, you 40-some years old. He's not caretaking for his mother. This is what he said to me. He's like, well, where else can you find to live for $400 a month? Right. Because as an adult, you got to get out here in the world and understand how to make it. But you found convenience because you're still sucking on mama's titty, and mama's making it easy for you in a world that ain't easy. What happens when mama dies? How's that $800 a month going to work for you? Being that you haven't been able to maintain it. Being now at 40, 50 years old, you got to switch gears and understand how to manage money. Monty's dealing with this right now, Grumpy. Grumpy's dealing with, I'm broke. Why is he broke? Because Monty has lived his life, because his parents did a detriment to him, taught him he was the best thing on the planet, made him think he was God's gift to the earth, and he was an only child, and now he does not know how to manage money. He don't know how to handle his crap. And now he's sitting there with a good income coming in, going right out the door. Because I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to function in my dysfunctional shiznit, which is what he's doing. We need to wake up, whether it's us, whether it's our family members. If you have highly dysfunctional folks around you, get out. In addition, look in the mirror and look at your own dysfunction and start dealing with it. Don't live in it. I've seen people who, sometimes I don't think they know they're dysfunctional. Sometimes I think they know. They know it's not normal. They may not know the why. They just keep doing the same stuff over and over again, and they don't know the why. And I'm like, well, there has to be a point where you wake up. But what I realized is, I believe some people do know they're in dysfunction. They just don't have that oomph to get out of it, and it becomes comfortable, and they live in it. And then also, that old saying, misery likes company, they want to keep other people involved in their mess. While you may love your family, and I'm going to say this to y'all, and I'm not trying to say be like me because I really don't deal with family too much. I'll deal with them on occasion, but I don't deal with them too much. I stayed with people I'm not blood related to, just not to deal with family. But in truth, as humans, we're all part of the same family because our original parenting is Adam and Eve, which is how we all broke off. Even though you may truly care about your family, you may love them, you may be close to them, family can sometimes be the biggest headache and be the strongest point of where a lot of dysfunction comes from. I'm not telling you go in there and tell your mama, you screwed me up because you did this, that, and the other thing. What I am telling you is your mother has her own dysfunction. Your father has his own dysfunction. There's a point in which you need to separate from it. And if you realize it and they don't, then you have to take ownership of it. And the Bible talks about we have the right as Christians to speak to mountains and ask them to move, meaning that we have the right to speak over things, pray over things, and speak to that situation and say, Lord, I want it broken over my life. And if I can break it over anybody else in my life going forward, I want this curse broken over my life. We're all born into it. We're born into something called sin. That's why, and let me say this, a lot of people ain't going to like to see my folks that watch me from alternative lifestyles. We have people, I remember when in the gay lifestyle, they started saying, oh, we're born this way. I don't believe in that. I believe we all born, and the Bible tells us we're born into sin. We're not born with it, we're born into it. So we're born into this dysfunctional world, okay? And when we're born into it, we end up in it. But now we have something on board that happens. We start getting intellect. We start growing up. We start understanding for those of us who don't have any learning challenges. And as we do that, we should have this, it's almost a link. You guys are watching, and I don't know what's true false with the whole Kanye West thing, but most of y'all are watching that he's going through supposedly, and I pray he is, his spiritual awakening. He's now supposedly Christian, whatever, and he's recognizing things about himself. I think this is actually a good thing because I think we need to start waking up and understanding that there's more to this existence than just our flesh and blood self. Again, the biggest trick the devil ever pulled was to make people think that he didn't exist. He's created in this world the dysfunction we live in. Some of us want to shake our fist at God and say, God, you did this to me. No. He allows things for a reason, because I think that if he didn't allow it, we wouldn't recognize he existed. If he allowed us to be in we had a perfect world, we crapped on that, we fell to Satan, right? So now in this world, we're living in dysfunction, or I almost want to call it the dysfunction of his mind, because what I'm seeing right now is straight madness. Some of the stuff I'm seeing is madness. People from alternative lifestyles are now justifying, I'm born this way, this way I'm born, and forcing up on you to accept their dysfunction. And I know I got people who are transgender to watch me. You're going to be mad. I know you're going to be mad. Most of the people that I know who've gone in through transgendered or transitioning have all been major abuse victims. A lot of them sexual abuse victims. And a lot of confusion happens when that happens. And I'm a witness. I understand having identity crises. I understand why I became probably more tomboyish, because it's a defense mechanism. If I'm strong like a man, then, or if I'm boyish, I can stand up to a guy, or I will never be in that position, or I'll be on equal footing to them so that XYZ doesn't happen to me again. It's dysfunction. And it's a trick. I call it a trick of the enemy. It's just how he works it. The dysfunction of our world today is a way to get us totally off kilter on the focus of actually what's happening, and it's to have us live in the most abnormal mindset possible. It just is. And it becomes easy, and it becomes our normal. And it's totally abnormal. I've been around people, and I'm watching, and I'm going, this is some abnormal crap. Grumpy is a perfect example. Even in areas of my own life, being this overweight, it's abnormal. And I like her music, Lizzo. Lizzo's up on stage, she's shaking it, big girl, and we're like, oh, go on, big girls. And now what we're trying to tell you is, accept me how I am. I'm fat, I'm overweight. Is it healthy? No, that's abnormal. And in our world, we're now accepting that as normal because you're positive energy. I'm not trying to say that you put her down, but what I'm trying to tell you is it's not acceptable. It's abnormal. The transgender thing, y'all might not like it, it's abnormal. It's not the norm. The norm was a man, the norm was a woman. That is normal. Anything, and even in the heterosexual community, there's some stuff going on there. That's abnormal. You know, we're now got relationships, folks living up together I'm sitting up here, I'm 51 years old, and I'm amazed now at the new generation. They don't believe in marriage. They're going to have 5, 6, 7 kids. I got associates of mine, and baby after baby after baby, and family members of mine, ain't married and living in a house like they husband and wife. And just because I call you wifey, no, no, no. Abnormal. And we now call this normal. I'm with you 10 years and I'm calling you my fiance. Ciao, bye. It's this just the abnormalness of it. And I'm watching this and I'm watching the dysfunction and what we're now accepting. I'm going to look at somebody I'm looking at you. You got breasts like me, you got female features, and I'm calling you a he. Not normal. Dysfunction. And our world is becoming more and more and more dysfunctional. And we're functioning in madness. And we're calling it normal. We're accepting it with no questions. While my heart goes out to people who struggle, while my heart goes out to people who, in my opinion, living in dysfunction and confusion, and now basically they're inviting us into their mental household on a human level. And I'm supposed to be accepting of the abnormal behavior? No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Matter of fact, I want the abnormal in my own life. I want the dysfunction in my own life gone. And I don't want to live in other people's dysfunction. As Christians, when you become Christian, and I'm going to close it out with this, I'll go back and look at questions in a minute. We say that God's Spirit comes on board. And when it comes on board, it makes us want to transition to change, and it tells us what to pray for. It then starts wanting to transition our heart from who we were. It kind of puts a mirror up before us of our own mess, and it shows us how we pray for freedom. Grumpy, I did the same thing. We prayed, I want to pray, get me out the gay lifestyle. I don't want to be in it anymore. I want nothing to do with it. And right now, I don't really have anything to do with it. While that was my prayer because of what came on board, when it actually happened that I wanted out, and I got out and God gave me, in his own way, deliverance from it, my mind still had a comfortableness in the dysfunction of it. Monty, Grumpy, he prayed, he has sexual addiction. Lord, help me with my sexual addiction. He ended up with prostate cancer. After getting his treatment, he's now impotent. He can't go and sleep with women anymore. His solution? Because he doesn't want to deal with the dysfunction of his mind, which is where Paul talks about the renewing of the mind. You got to renew your mind. See, to get out the dysfunction of this world, we have to renew our mind. And it's not in the Bible daily, but in the Christian church, we say renew your mind daily, because every day you get up, it's going to be a fight, because there's an enemy at the gate. And his goal, because he's pissed off at God about his situation, and he didn't get what he wanted, and he was jealous of God, which is where we get jealousy from in the first place. His goal is for us to be just as dysfunctional and to live in craziness. That's the goal. And if we look at our lives, we look at the people's lives around us, and I'm not saying to judge in the sense of they should go to hell, but I'm saying to judge in the sense of this ain't right. Something's not right here. Don't accept abnormal as normal. Don't live in abnormal. I've seen some stuff. With Monty, he's sitting in a chair, sleeping his way to a casket, doing some of the most abnormal stuff because he's mad, and in his own childish, roundabout way, he's shaking his fist at God because, yeah, I prayed about this. Yeah, you put that Holy Spirit on board to help me get free from this, but I want it back because it's comfortable to him. And a lot of us are comfortable in functioning in dysfunction because if we truly dealt to get this weight off, it's going to be some work. It's like that gentleman that told me, yeah, I had to bypass it. I lost 180 pounds, but he's now put virtually all of it back on and then some. And he's waddling like I am to walk. I got guys in there bigger than me, and walking. I walk with a cane. Sometimes I walk with a walking stick when I walk. But I understand why, because it becomes a struggle to put this much weight, because it's abnormal, on this body, which wasn't meant for it. We're functioning in dysfunction. Behaviors, thought process, sexual behavior, lifestyle choices. A lot of that is because we're functioning in some major dysfunctional stuff. We got to make some other choices. We've got to make some other choices. There's things that are being forced on us in this world that it's not normal. It's highly dysfunctional. When I'm looking at a girl and I got to call her a he, or when I'm looking at a man and I got to call him a she, that's not normal. And now we're even putting these behaviors out to kids. I'm having a problem with that. When I was a kid struggling with my whole sexuality, I needed to go through my own struggle. I needed to have my own questions because it was part of my process. I don't need for somebody else to add their dysfunction on top of. I don't need to add other question marks to a time in which I'm already trying to develop, grow into who I'm supposed to be. And now I'm looking at people and I'm going, that's why you crazy as heck. I've got associates of mine who I know have mental issues. I know for a fact they need to sit down with a psychiatrist and talk. And I know that there's family members that are around them that are living in that dysfunction, and it's wearing. It's wearing. I have a very good friend of mine, and he has like 3 or 4 family members that I know. There's some severe mental stuff going on. And I look at him when he deals with them, because when he's dealing with them, he's stepping into their dysfunction. And he's trying to help them, but they are highly dysfunctional. They need to go sit down and talk to somebody and deal with where the dysfunction started and get some freedom. But trying to get freedom is work. It's like getting fat off a body. It's going to take time. It's going to take work. It's going to take energy. It's going to bring up some ugly stuff. I did counseling when I was in high school after my mother had kicked me out and ended up living with my grandfather because she's crazy. And they sent me to a counselor in Tempe. I actually sat down and talked to somebody. I dealt with the gay issue. I dealt with a whole bunch that I needed to deal with. Black folks, there's nothing wrong with going to get some counseling. Please do it. We need to do it. We like right now, and I'm going to use this and I need to close this out. One of the other things that's bothering me right now that we're having happen in the black community, we're starting to go back to old school civil rights pro-black, the white man's God. I can't stand that. And we're going back to these attitudes, getting into religious belief systems. I think somebody handed me some card the other day. This they taking one area of the Bible and they making that the whole thing, that we some special tribe, and just shenanigans. First of all, the biggest poison that we've had in this country is race. One race, human. Ethnicities, we're from all different ethnic backgrounds. That's truth. That's facts. Race only exists in the human race. It's black, white, brown, that's a bunch of bull crap. If we can get our mind untied from that abnormality, from that dysfunction, then we'll understand we're an ethnicity. And we won't be caught up into, well, Jesus was a white man. Is that somebody told you? Because you're putting the Son of God, who is God himself, in a race category. That in itself is crazy. And that in itself is dysfunctional. We got to work on this. We got to work on this huge. We got to work on how we're looking through the glasses in this life, and we're going to have to look through the muck and the mire of a really jacked up world and ask God to give us, I pray sometimes, God, give me clear vision, give me more godly vision, give me a way to see things differently. And in doing so, how I treat people, how I interact with people is different. Give me a way to see things so I'm not hypocritical, one, but also see things as you see things. And that's what's made me understand is that a lot of times we're functioning in dysfunction and we're living in other people's dysfunction. And it ultimately sometimes impacts us. It can make you suicidal when you're living in dysfunction. And like I said, I got a few people I know, and make you depressed. You're in relationships, whether it's family, whether it's a significant other, and you're living in somebody else's dysfunction. You're going to have to get free. And sometimes getting free means leaving. Boy, you're not happy here. It's time for you to go, isn't it? Yeah, it's time for me to go. Why? Because it's dysfunctional for a man who just got out, grown person who got out the military, to be living at home with mama and daddy. It's time for you to go. It's dysfunctional for you to be living in a household with a ninja who's whooping your behind, or sometimes it's not even physical whooping your behind. Sometimes it's mental whooping your behind. They don't have to lay hands on you. They can treat you in a way that makes you feel less than. Sometimes it's time for you to pack it up and go. We need to get out of this. And we also have to be careful what we're being fed. And I say fed with the eyes. Like I said, Lizzo, I enjoy the video, enjoy her energy. But because God has kind of dealt with this, and I'm a big girl too, I know that what she's doing, while I get that she's dancing, she's young. And I get, she's basically want people to accept you where you're at. I accept you for who you are to a degree. But I'm not going to call what you are normal. Anybody 50 pounds over is obese, and it's not healthy for us. There's some consequences that come with that. We have to change it up. If you're living in a household where the parent is an alcoholic or a drug addict, or your significant other is an alcoholic drug addict, that's not normal. You either need to get out, or there needs to be some changes that happen. If you have associates of yours, and I'm sorry, I don't associate with most people who are transgender because I can't. I've had one that I had to work with, and it worked, unfortunately, for HR reasons. And I just sometimes wouldn't even just do it because it bothered me. I worked with a young woman, and she was transitioning to be a male. Physically looked like a woman, had not had any surgeries, nothing, but wanted us all to call her he. Ninja, I'm looking at you. You got breast. Use a she. You still got the accoutrement below. Use a she. Functioning in some crazy dysfunction in our world today. And it makes no sense. But it does make sense if you understand the signs of the times. Biblically, the Bible told us things are going to wax almost to the point of Sodom and Gomorrah. Ring, 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 we're here. I believe that there's going to be a big move kind of happening, kind of a last-ditch effort. And after that, all hell's been ready to break loose on this planet. It's bad right now. I'm watching everybody, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, this, just even riding the bus and the light rail, and I'm looking, I'm going, this is the most crazy I have seen in a long time. We go to dinner, me and Joe go to dinner, and I'm listening to the conversations around me. And it's disconcerting what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. Be careful what you get into. Be careful what you stay into. And while you may love your family, be careful, even when it's family you love, you care about, getting caught up into their drama. I was talking to a family member of mine, I love her dearly, sweet, sweet girl. She does prayers for us. And she's talking about in-laws. And I'm listening, and I'm going, this is a lot of crazy. Don't get caught up in other people's crazy. We need to silently go, oh, okay, and just start praying for them. Pray for those individuals. And keep it pushing. Don't get caught up in it. Getting caught up in this, you already got your own level of dysfunction you were born into that you got to try to deal with, get rid of. Be careful. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to get off of here. I got stuff to do. Let me read this real quick and see what's on here. And this ain't going to be one of my popular videos, but it's something I felt I needed to do. Hold on. H.E. Bach, when baby eagles come of age, the mother quits foraging to feed them, to encourage them to fly and become independent. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Okay. Okay, African Violet, I feel you. When my family has drama, I tell them I am far from the maddening crowd. Not bad people, but I just like my space. So I moved 3,000 to 5,000 miles away. We texted, and let me chime in on that, V. Griffith, because that's facts. I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody, and the Bible talks about Abraham. So everybody's all caught up into what lately, black folks, and I'm just so irritated with it, whether Jesus was white or not. Get out the race thing. That is some Anglo-Saxon poison, and it really is, if you want to get into, and I hate the word racist, but that's what it is, it's in order to create a divide in people. Get off of it. You want to know what Jesus was? He was in the physical form. He was born into the Jewish line. And let me help you with something. Because, see, some black folks are folks who call themselves, we use the word black, African Americans. We're going to sit here and we're going to put the Jews in the white category because that's what we were told to do. Let me explain something to you. When America was formed, you had what they call Anglo-Saxon. Anglo-Saxon is supposed to be that pure white folk, okay, if you want to go on a race. And the pure white folk gave you your little white Jesus, right? But biblically, if you want to know what he was in physical form, he was of the Jewish descent because he's off the line of David, okay? Israelites. Let's go some history real quick. That's what he was born into in order to do the things in the physical world to get things in order and in the spiritual world to redeem us back, okay? We're all off the same thing. Our original parenting is Adam and Eve. Even when the world was destroyed the first time, who came from Adam and Eve's line? Noah and his family, which we form off of again. Stop the madness. Stop worrying about Jesus' ethnicity in the sense of trying to look at it as I'm not going to worship a white Jesus, and get away from the madness. And then stop looking at the Jews and being pitted against them because they are also a people of ethnicity. Because Anglo folks didn't consider them. Hold on, y'all. My battery's getting low. I don't know if that's going to stretch. Y'all might have to hold on. I'll do the phone like this for a minute. Okay. And I have to get off because my phone's now battery. Anglo people did not consider them as part of the white culture. They didn't consider them that initially. You don't believe me? Go tell me why the hell they went ahead and killed all them Jews in Germany. Okay? They were ostracized just like us, just like a people of a different race or ethnicity. So when you get into, let me go back here, because she hit this and it was actually a good point. When you get into family and they drama, go back to a story of Abraham. God told him this, and y'all, and I tell people this. He said, "This is the vision I have for your life. Your offspring are gonna be as numerous as the stars." Basically, what he told him. And then when he gave him a command, he told him, "Leave." I'm gonna say this: leave your family. Leave your family. Who did he end up having tag along? Lot. And we got Sodom and Gomorrah and all that other drama that happened with Lot. Leave your family. I'm going to say it again. Leave your family. Because he knew it was going to be a hot behind mess. We got to sometimes leave insanity. You can't stay with your family. And it's not to say you don't love them, but you can't, There's a reason for it. Hold on. That's why Grumpy's sitting his behind right in Lubbock right now by himself. Hold on, let me read what else we got in here. Hold on, y'all. I had a young neighbor who broke her brand new kitchen sink sprayer. She said she didn't know what it was for. Dysfunction, maybe total ignorance. Okay. There's some people, and an African Violet, you talking about your mom. So I watched, and I had an associate of mine, and I didn't realize there was some jealousy with me and I think some of their family members. So I get along with most people. And I just realized, let me put this over here. Let me move this a little bit, and then I'm get on down the road because I got to finish up some stuff. And I need to eat because I haven't eaten and taken my meds. And let me put this up here. I had to finagle it. I had a friend of mine, and I didn't realize, I think there's a, shit, I don't know, I'm trying to get this thing to stay. I put a little kickstand back here, but it's funky monkey. Hold on. Let's see if I can get it to stay. Hopefully it stays, y'all. Let's see. I'm trying to get it to stay. Hold on. It's still sliding. Hold on. Hopefully it doesn't slide. I had a friend of mine, and I didn't realize, I think she's jealous of the relationship I have with other of her family members. I just get along with people. And so when I saw it, it was really, I was like, whoa. And I was talking to Grumpy, and Grumpy says sometimes people think that because you can have a different conversation with folks they're close to or folks they want to just worship them, that you're going to steal away from them their stuff. And it's very dysfunctional. The whole situation is dysfunctional. But we have people who they enjoy drama. I mean, it's like I told you, my mother was one to be a bully, to have drama where she's like stomping and screaming, or to get into an argument. It was like sex to her. So she got off on it. I have a friend of mine, or I haven't seen him in forever if he's still alive. His mother, massively dysfunctional. And she would pit him and his brother against each other. And she enjoyed it. It was like sex. I could tell she was enjoying it, like she was having a whole sexual moment. she thrived on the altercation and the fighting between her two boys. It was fun to her. It was exciting. It was yummy. And I've seen parenting, I see it more among mothers, where mothers sometimes, it's almost like they get off on some kind of saga with their children. And I've watched it, and it's the most twisted stuff I've ever seen. And I've not only seen it in one family, I've seen it in several. And you sit back, my mother's the same way. There's something about it. They'll pit kids against each other. They'll pit other people against their kids. But then they have jealousy with certain relationships that their kids have. I've seen some stuff that is just, all I can do is sit back and shake my head. And I realize that some kind of dysfunction and something's wrong. But then once I get into their childhood, because I know some of the childhoods, I then understand where the brokenness and all the drama comes from. Let me see what else I got on here. Make sure I covered everything. Hold on, let me go back. Hey, Chris, welcome to the channel. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Should go back. Just it's fun now. Trying to read this. Hold on. Okay, V. Griffith, you said I'm abnormal if I enjoy my own company than being around people. I live my own company. I love my own company. I don't have close friends, and I don't want any. I just love being by myself. V. Griffith, that could be abnormal. And the reason I'm going to say that, I used to be very much a huge loner. And the reason is because of the dysfunction with my mother. So it was a trust factor for me. I don't have a lot of friends now, but the older we get, we do end up, your friend circle starts to become smaller because you then really realize who your true friends are. But you do want to have some sort of associations. Oftentimes it's a trust factor, but really also some wisdom on what to share and what not to share. Joe, for example, is learning a lot of things about me he didn't know. My best friend Jane, she knows mostly all of my life. Abusive, attempted rape, abusive of my mom. She knows who my mother is. She knows all of that. Joe is just finding out some of the more deeper, darker parts of my life story. He didn't know. He knew some. He didn't know nearly what I had been through. That's why there's things when he took on his two nephews had some major. One of them had some major issues, and I kind of warned him because I come from an abusive home, and I understood that this kid had some abuses that happened, and I understood the high level of dysfunction of his biological mother. And I'm trying to explain to Joe generational curses and understanding that the things that happen to you are going to impact you somewhere along the line. But then at a point in our lives, as we become adults and older, I can still point the finger, yes, because of my mother, these things happen. But now I'm an adult and I can sit there and point the finger all day. That's not going to fix the problem. I now have to take ownership of something that, whether it was in my control or not, it's in my control now to not live in the dysfunction that might have been imposed upon me. So, example, when you were a molest victim, an incest victim, a rape victim, let's say you were somebody, I've had one person on here tell me mother was a drug addict and they were traded off as a young man, as a little boy. They were traded and used for sexual stuff as a kid in order for the mama to get the drugs. And so now they have identity issues. They have issues with being male. And so they're now looking at transitioning because they were treated as female all their life. That's the trick of the enemy. That's straight up demonic. And we can sit and we can live in that level of dysfunction, or we can choose to be free. And I'm going to be honest, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle because something you did not choose, something that devil meant to destroy you, to kill you, to take your very soul. Tupac had a song when he talked about, it was that he said they win if your soul dies. I know that's a line of his. That's facts, because the goal of the enemy is to use other human beings. See, we're looking at flesh and blood people. Bible tells us our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. It's the spirits behind people. That's why I said the biggest trick the devil ever played was making you think he don't exist. But it's what's behind the person, what that spirit that's behind them, the spirit behind my mother, the spirit behind Monty. Monty is horrid. That dude is horrible. When, do I think he's Christian? I believe he really had a conscious Christian choice. I believe that his biggest struggle now is the spiritual ties that he had demonically in his life that had him be the butthole that he was. And where that stems from, some of that stems from his childhood. I can't imagine watching my mother stab my father in the leg. He saw my grandmother, his mother, stab his father. So my question is, what was going on in that household that my grandmother would feel the need to stab her husband in the leg? What was the level of dysfunction? What was going on in the house? Because for you to get into the point of physical violence, there is some, and for a woman to go there, there's some deep stuff going on in that household. Monty, to this day, because we're taught to kind of keep stuff a secret. But to me, and I'm not saying you don't have, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to have, what's the word I want to use? I'm not saying that you're not going to have what I call your closet prayer stuff. We all got something that's dark, and it's only between us and the Lord, okay? But we got to be real careful. I got to get off here because it's an hour and a half. We got to be real careful when we decide that everything in the family should be swept under the carpet, because then what we end up with is pus, ooze, and gangrene. And we don't get things cleansed the way they need to be cleansed. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And right now we're justifying our alcoholism. We're justifying our abhorrent lifestyles. We're justifying our obesity. And everything's okay and everybody is happy and all of us are good and this is our normal. I'm sorry, it's not. It's absolutely not. It's not okay. One of the lady who wanted me to help her son just died. I saw her at church for a church little thing. And she said, promise me you're going to get healthy. She said, my son just died, and the reason he died was because of obesity and diabetes. Slumped over out by his car, had a heart attack. The root cause for death was a heart attack, but the true cause behind it was obesity and diabetes. Oh, yeah, it's okay to be fat. I accept you. And I'm not saying you're not to treat people with dignity. What I'm saying is we're not going to justify unhealthy living. And that's what we've now justifying a lot of unhealthy everything. Living, lifestyles, abhorrent behavior. We're functioning in high dysfunction, and we're saying this is normal. Some of you are living in very dysfunctional homes with family, friends, significant others, and you're saying this is normal. I have shaken loose people that were in my life, quote unquote friends, who were living in high dysfunction and who wanted you to live in a high dysfunction with them. Cut off. Not that I don't love you, not that I ain't going to pray for you. I'll pray for you. I'm just not going to live in your dysfunction. I cannot. I'm not going to live in Monty's dysfunction. Monty's life is totally, it's abnormal. When I talked to my places and she was talking about some things and I'm listening to some of her extended family, and I want to say, baby, stop living in these people's dysfunction. With that call, when she needs to talk to them, this is what she needs. When it's craziness, she's like, oh, girl, I got to go. I'll pray about this situation and get off of it. Because some people want you to live in their dysfunction. They want you to accept it. They want you to listen to it. They want you to entertain it with them. Cut off. Cut off. And they want you to be a party to their dysfunction. I just had to have a talk. Me and Joe like to go out and eat a lot. Well, I'm getting ready to have to say before Car said, we've had our good times. I'm back. We're going to a lot of places we like to go. If we go out, this is my budget. This is where I can go. This is where I can't go. And I'm not going to be able to do this every day. This is where my budget is. So I'm going to tell you, if it's going to be right now, he's got money that I don't have. And I can't be on your level right now because I'm just coming back in. I'm transitioning back. I just started a new gig. I got to have some money. I don't want to go do a car loan. I still have to do a Chapter 7. I need to get a vehicle. I can't function in that. Because if I do, I'm functioning in dysfunction. I'm functioning in a point where I'm not managing my money right. So I had to sit down and talk, and this is what I'm going to do. Everything's choices. Everything is choices. And the choice is either we can stay in our madness or we can wake up. You want something in your life, but you're not willing to take the steps to change it. And sometimes we think that changing our physical is really changing. It's much deeper than just, the man said, I lost the weight, but I didn't realize I've gained the weight back because he's still dysfunctional in the mind. Getting the physical taken care of is one thing, but you got to work on the spiritual and the mental and all that stuff and get that in line with the weight loss. Get that in line with being better human. Get that in line with being a better child of God. If you are still saying, okay, I'm Christian, but I'm still going to get out here and get sloppy drunk. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong. If you're not an alcoholic or you don't have a drinking problem, people drink in the Bible. God made wine at a wedding. Okay, I'm sorry. But if you're going out getting toe down drunk, if you're going out smoking weed and still want to call yourself Christian, there's a problem. There's a problem. If you still going out being promiscuous, there's a problem. You in a relationship and you living with a ninja and y'all ain't no wedding rings. Oh, but now I'm going to leave it between you and the Lord, but there's a problem because you know it's not right. There's a saying, if you know better, do better. If you know better, do better. And that's what this is about. It's like, we've got to do better. And when we realize something's wrong, sometimes to get out of our dysfunction, maybe we don't know how. Some people don't know how. Counselors, psychiatrists. But sometimes you got to be careful with them because you get some of these that are out there, like the one for a lot of these now with the transitioning folks. They'll get, you're welcome, magical girl. They'll get, go out here to these psychiatrists, and some of these psychiatrists are crazier than they are. You got to find you a good, and I'm going to say grounded, I would almost hope Christian-based, and I'm going to go there, who knows the Lord, because some of them crazy too, counselor who's going to help you with your issues in compassion and not judgment. You know, you got to do that, and it's hard. It's hard to wake up and all of a sudden realize, like I'm walking right now to the bus and I'm like, I gotta lose this weight. I'm just even walking from a car to this apartment, getting in and out of a car. It's getting in and out the damn tub. Hell, wiping yourself. This obesity is no joke. And it's not to have people feel sorry for me. It's saying, wake up and get some freedom. And I'm using that as an example, but it's like Monty. You've moved from just being impotent to now being incontinent because you won't renew your mind on changing how you eat, changing what you do. I'm just going because I like you must like living in your dysfunction. And your situation's not getting better, it's getting worse. You're eating bad, you're pissing on yourself. Your memory's going, and now you're losing days because all you do is sleep. I don't want to step beyond my zone because to step out of my dysfunction is going to be uncomfortable. And to try to get to some normalcy or as close to the normal that God had for me, it, it's like trudging through mud. It's like a workout. Probably why Paul said, I finished the race because it's pushing through it. It's working it out. And it ain't easy. It ain't easy. Y'all, I'll go back. I'm going to read comments. And if there's anything in here, we'll talk about it further. But this has been almost going on 2 hours. Hold on. Right, Chris, and gluttony can be sinful. It's considered a sin. And common sense is not always common. I used to think that everybody thought in my youth that we all were given the same measure. We are not. The Bible talks about measures that people are given, and I was saying that we were talking. I think it's me and Wendy were talking about this, and we all are given a certain measure. Not everybody's measure is the same. I realize in my conversations with people, not everybody's on the same, and I don't mean this in a negative way, not that I'm higher, because there's people that are way more intelligent than I am, but not everybody's on the same intellectual page. It's the same way that Joe had those tenants in the house and the curtain is on the outside. Obviously, that's something someone in there, they were never taught. I talk to these truckers out here, on the thing, and I'm sitting at work. Now I'm on the other side of the phone, and I'm looking at the ceiling going, is this really the conversation I'm having right now? Because it's madness. To me, it's madness because I have a certain way I look at trucking. I also have a certain way I was taught. I also know certain safety measures. And I'm listening to these people, and I'm just totally blown away. They have a CDLA, and what I'm hearing, not everybody's on the same mental page. Not everybody has the same skill set. So, but I do believe that we all have the capability to have God's Spirit on board if we're willing to accept it and to be guided by its wisdom and to be directed for freedom. But then there's a point where our free will comes in, and it's a problem. And when our free will comes in, and or any other demonic forces that may come up in the background that we don't notice, whispering in our brain and in our ear, we will make some choices that aren't going to be the best. Anyway, I'm going to end this live because we in an hour and something. I'll go back, I'll read comments, and if there's some subjects we may handle. The channel's going to take some different turns. Those who want to hang with it can. I'll still do some trucking stuff, but I'm not in trucking in the way that I used to be. However, I can talk on some other stuff from the corporate side and from the driver's side, and I'm going to have some subjects that I'm in talks and helping drivers now. I need to talk to y'all because I'll be sitting there at work just shaking my head and talk about personal accountability and ownership of your job and what you do. Anyway, y'all, as usual, I hope you guys have a blessed Sunday. Like, thumbs up, subscribe, share out. Let me know if there's any other topics. I am going to probably have more spiritual topics coming because God's been dealing with me with my own spiritual walk. You guys are going to be seeing me eating differently. I'm now right across the street from Sprouts, which is a farmer's market where I live. I'm walking distance. I am walking. I walk a lot now because I have to walk from here to the bus and light rail and to work. So that's helping. They have a gym for $5 every paycheck every 2 weeks, so $10 a month. And I'm probably doing that because I have to wait the last bus. My first bus doesn't start to get back home for about an hour and a half. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the gym and start either riding a bike or walking, kind of like what I did when I was in physical therapy. Because when I was in physical therapy for my broken ankle, I actually ended up losing 30 pounds. And that's just because of probably what I was doing. I was going in there riding a bike, and they had me walking and doing little stretches. And the next thing I know, 30 pounds came off. So I'm going to probably get back into that. But you guys are going to see me eat a little bit differently. I don't know that I'm cutting meats totally. I'm praying on that because there's certain things. I love lamb. When I have craving for it, I will always do some kind of fish and seafood. I got fish in the refrigerator right now. I have turkey in there right now. I got to go cook that turkey. Getting ready to get in the kitchen and get it straightened out. But I'm still having to straighten. Y'all see, it's a hot mess this way. So got to get up in here, straighten this out, and I got to figure out something to eat here. And I got to take my meds. Anyway, y'all, 2 and 2, be blessed. I will holler at y'all later.